Today we are going to study regarding system of accounting. In the last class we studied regarding the different concepts, right? So they need to be followed at the time of recording the transaction in our books of account. So if we are not following those principles or those concepts, it is not possible for us to record the transactions in our books. Now we need to study regarding system of accounting. So what do you mean by system of accounting? System of accounting is nothing but they are the systems that need to be followed at the time of recording transactions in our books of account. So they are generally classified in two types, that is, see there, double entry system as well as single entry system. So what do you mean by double entry system? So as the name itself says, double entry system is having twofold effects. So for each and every transaction, there will be two effects, right? You might have studied, right, in the last class regarding dual aspect concept. In that dual aspect concept, we are studying related to two aspects in each and every transactions. For example, see, if we are going to buy one particular asset worth 1 lakh, what happens? We are going to get increase in our asset, right? So there is an increase in 1 lakh worth of asset, as well as there is a decrease in 1 lakh value from cash in hand, right? That is what twofold effects. That means we are going to get something in return and we are going to lose something in order to get something in return. That means in order to get asset, what we need to do, if we are going to buy that on cash basis, means we need to pay cash, we need to give away the cash so that we can get asset in hand. So that is about double entry system. So whatever the transaction that we are going to record, that will be based on double entry system, okay? Because in double entry system, as all the aspects of the transactions are recorded, there will be no errors. So there is no chance of misappropriation of fund, right? Because each and every aspects of the transactions will be completely covered and that will be recorded and that will be later posted in their ledgers. So there will not be any hiding of profit. There is no chance of doing misappropriation of fund. So that is double entry system, where there are two aspects. One is debit aspect, another one is credit aspect. So what do you mean by a debit aspect? So if we are owing money to someone else, that means we need to pay money to someone else, then that will be debited. That will be recorded on the debit side. Whereas credited means what? If we are going to get something, if we are going to receive money or we are going to get benefit, so that will be credited. So at the time of recording transaction, what we need to do is we need to identify the nature of the transactions that we need to study in detail in our coming classes, okay? So what we need to do, there will be transactions and we need to identify their nature, and as per their nature there will be different rules that also we need to study, and based on that we need to record transactions in our books of account. Understanding, right? ಡಬಲ್ ಎಂಟ್ರಿ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಏನಂದರೆ, ಯಾವುದೇ ಒಂದು ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸಾಕ್ಷನ್ ನಾವು ಮಾಡುವಾಗ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಟೂ ಇಫೆಕ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಹೌದಾ? ಒಂದು ಬೆನಿಫಿಟ್ ನಾವು ರಿಸೀವ್ ಮಾಡುವಾಗ ನಮಗೆ ಸಮಥಿಂಗ್ ರಿಟರ್ನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಕೊಡಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಒಂದು ಇನ್ಫ್ಲೋ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಔಟ್ಫ್ಲೋ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಇನ್ಫ್ಲೋ ಅಂದರೆ ನಮಗೆ ಸಿಗೋದು, ಔಟ್ಫ್ಲೋ ಅಂದರೆ ನಮ್ಮಿಂದ ಹೊರಗೆ ಹೋಗೋದು. ಸೊ ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಅಬೌಟ್ ಡಬಲ್ ಎಂಟ್ರಿ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್, ವೇರ್ ಬೋತ್ ದ ಆಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸಾಕ್ಷನ್ಸ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ recorded. Hence, there is no chance of misappropriation of fund. What do you mean by misappropriation? Wrong utilization, or there is a chance of showing wrong informations. So here in double entry system, such facility is not there because all the aspects will be covered, right? So double entry system records all the aspects in the books of account. So in double entry system, what we say, this particular system is a complete system. Why? Because we are going to write what? Both the aspects of the transactions in our books of account. So this particular system is accurate. Accurate means there is no error and there is no chance of error. Double entry system ಏನು, ಅದೊಂದು ಕಂಪ್ಲೀಟ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಎಲ್ಲಾ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸಾಕ್ಷನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿದ್ದ ಟೂ ಫೋಲ್ಡ್ ಇಫೆಕ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನು ನಾವು ರೆಕಾರ್ಡ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೇವೆ. ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಇಫೆಕ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಹೇಗಂದ್ರೆ, ಒಂದು ಡೆಬಿಟ್ ಆಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಒಂದು ಕ್ರೆಡಿಟ್ ಆಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಡೆಬಿಟ್ ಆಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು, ನಾವು ಬೇರೆಯವರಿಗೆ ಕೊಡಬೇಕಾದದ್ದು. ಕ್ರೆಡಿಟ್ ಆಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟ್ ಏನು, ನಮಗೆ ಬರಬೇಕಾದದ್ದು. ಸೊ ಈ ಎರಡೂ ಆಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅನ್ನು ನಾವು ರೆಕಾರ್ಡ್ ಮಾಡೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಎಲ್ಲೂ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸಾಕ್ಷನ್ ಮಿಸ್ ಆಗುವ ಚಾನ್ಸಸ್ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಫಂಡ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನು ಮಿಸ್ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡುವ ಚಾನ್ಸಸ್ ಕೂಡ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಈ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ಒನ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಬೆಸ್ಟ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೇವೆ. ಪ್ಲಸ್ ಈ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ಅನ್ನೇ ನಾವು ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಫಾಲೋ ಮಾಡೋದು. ದೆನ್ ವಾಟ್ ಡು ಯು ಮೀನ್ ಬೈ ಸಿಂಗಲ್ ಎಂಟ್ರಿ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್? So single entry system is just opposite of double entry system. So you know, right, in double entry system both the aspects will be recorded, where here in single entry we are going to record only one aspect. So here all the accounts are not going to be maintained. Here we are going to maintain only personal accounts as well as cash. Other than that, no other account will be maintained. So single entry system is an incomplete system. It's not a complete system because all the aspects or twofold effects in a transactions here will not be recorded. Instead, maintaining all the accounts, only personal accounts they are going to maintain. So instead of maintaining all the accounts, what they are doing, they are maintaining only personal account as well as cash book. So in fact this is not a system. It lacks what? Uniformity. So if they are going to maintain this particular system, there is sometimes they are going to record all the aspects, sometimes no. So that is what single entry system is there, which does not have uniformity. So you are understood, right? So for example, there are some transactions where only one effect will be recorded. That means if the asset is purchased on a cash, only asset acquiring of asset, that information will be recorded. The payment aspect will not be shown. So this is about ಸಿಂಗಲ್ ಎಂಟ್ರಿ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್. ಸಿಂಗಲ್ ಎಂಟ್ರಿ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ಏನು? ಅದು ಇನ್ಕಂಪ್ಲೀಟ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಎರಡೂ ಆಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟ್, ಒಂದು ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸಾಕ್ಷನ್ ಇಲ್ಲಿದ್ದ ಎರಡೂ ಆಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟ್ ರೆಕಾರ್ಡ್ ಮಾಡಲ್ಲ. ಎರಡು ಆಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಹೇಗೆ? ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್, ಈಗ ನಾವು ಅಸೆಟ್ ಪರ್ಚೇಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೇವೆ ಆನ್ ಅ ಕ್ಯಾಶ್ ಬೇಸಿಸ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ಅಸೆಟ್ ಅನ್ನು ರೆಕಾರ್ಡ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ನಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ ಲೆಸ್ ಆದ ಕ್ಯಾಶ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಕೂಡ ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮೇಶನ್ ಕೊಡಬೇಕು. ಆದ್ರೆ ಸಿಂಗಲ್ ಎಂಟ್ರಿಲಿ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತಾರೆ, ಅವರು ಒಂದು ಆಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾತ್ರ ತೋರಿಸ್ತಾರೆ. ಅದು ಒಂದು ಕ್ಯಾಶ್ ಹೊರಗೆ ಹೋಗುವ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸಾಕ್ಷನ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು ಅಥವಾ ಅಸೆಟ್ ತಗೊಂಡು ಬಂದ ಆಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಅವರು ಎಲ್ಲವನ್ನು ತೋರಿಸುವುದಿಲ್ಲ. ದಟ್ ಮೀನ್ಸ್ ಆಲ್ ದ ಆಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಹಿಯರ್ ವಿಲ್ ನಾಟ್ ಬಿ ಶೋನ್ ಆರ್ ರೆಕಾರ್ಡೆಡ್. ಸೊ ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ single entry system. So these are the system of accounting which will be followed at the time of recording transaction in the books of account. Now what we need to study, the next topic is double entry system of bookkeeping. So meaning, see, bookkeeping is the art of recording business transaction in a systematic manner. So they are going to record transaction in a systematic manner. So that is about bookkeeping. So in bookkeeping we have double entry system, right? So what do you mean by double entry system? Where both the aspects of transactions will be recorded, that in opposite direction. That means what? They are not recorded in the same direction, right? One will be debited, another will be credited. So every additional information is given in the adjustment. So see, if they are giving any transactions, if the transactions are given in adjustment means what? Some additional information. So that will be recorded twice. So regarding this we are going to study in detail when we are going to solve practical sums. Okay, so now you need to understand only about what do you mean by double entry system. Double entry system means what? Where twofold effects of a particular transactions will be recorded in the books of account. ಡಬಲ್ ಎಂಟ್ರಿ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು? ಒಂದು ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸಾಕ್ಷನ್ ನಡೀತಿದೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಇರುವ ಟೂ ಫೋಲ್ಡ್ ಇಫೆಕ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಎರಡೂ ಆಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟ್ಸ್, ಎರಡೂ ಕಾನ್ಸೆಪ್ಟ್ಸ್, ಎರಡೂ ಪಾರ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನು ನಾವು ರೆಕಾರ್ಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೇವೆ. ಅದು ಡೆಬಿಟ್ ಆಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಕ್ರೆಡಿಟ್ ಆಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಎರಡನ್ನೂ ನಾವು ರೆಕಾರ್ಡ್ ಮಾಡೋದೇ ಡಬಲ್ ಎಂಟ್ರಿ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್. So next is about single entry system. What do you mean by single entry system? This particular system is an incomplete system. So this particular system where all the aspects will not be recorded. So what they are going to maintain? They are going to maintain personal account. So what do you mean by personal account? For example, I can give the example. There are so many debtors, right? Those people who need to make a payment to the company, they are the debtor. ಡೆಟಾರ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಯಾರು? ಯಾರೆಲ್ಲ ಕಂಪನಿಗೆ ಹಣ ಕೊಡಬೇಕು ಅವರು ಕಂಪನಿಯ ಡೆಟಾರ್ ಆಗ್ತಾರೆ. ಅದನ್ನು ನಾವು ಅಸೆಟ್ ಸೈಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ತೋರಿಸ್ತೇವೆ. ಈಗ ಪರ್ಸನಲ್ ಅಕೌಂಟ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಹೇಗೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಈ ಪರ್ಟಿಕ್ಯುಲರ್ ಡೆಟಾರ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನು ನಾವು ಡಿಫ್ರೆಂಟ್ ಹೆಸರಿರುತ್ತೆ, ಹೌದಾ? ಈಗ ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ರಾಜು ಇಂದ ನಾವು ರಾ ಮೆಟೀರಿಯಲ್ ಪರ್ಚೇಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ರಾಜುಸ್ ಅಕೌಂಟ್, ಸೊ ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಒನ್ personal account example. So they are going to maintain what? Personal accounts and cash accounts. So that is there in single entry system. So single entry system is what? Incomplete system of recording transactions where all the aspects of the transactions will not be recorded. ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ಆಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನು ನಾವು ರೆಕಾರ್ಡ್ ಮಾಡುವುದಿಲ್ಲ. So next is basis of accounting. What do you mean by basis? On which basis they are going to enter the transactions in the books of account? See there are two bases. One is cash basis and the one is accrual basis. So what do you mean by cash basis? Cash basis ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು? Basis of accounting ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಯಾವ ಆಧಾರದ ಮೇಲೆ ನಾವು ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸಾಕ್ಷನ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನು ಬುಕ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಅಕೌಂಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ರೆಕಾರ್ಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೇವೆ. ಈಗ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಎರಡು ಆಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಉಂಟು ಅಥವಾ ಎರಡು ಬೇಸಿಸ್ ಉಂಟು. ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಒನ್ ಕ್ಯಾಶ್ ಬೇಸಿಸ್. ಕ್ಯಾಶ್ ಬೇಸಿಸ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಕ್ಯಾಶ್, ಹಣದ ಮೇಲೆ ನಾವು ಮಾಡುವ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸಾಕ್ಷನ್. ಹೇಗೆ ಅದು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಈಗ ಒಂದು ಗೂಡ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನು ನಾವು ಪರ್ಚೇಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದೇವೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ಸಡನ್ ಅದೇ ಮೂಮೆಂಟ್ಗೆ ನಾವು ಹಣ ಪೇ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದೇವೆ, ಅದನ್ನು ನಾವು ಕ್ಯಾಶ್ ಬೇಸಿಸ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೇವೆ. ಎಕ್ರೂವಲ್ ಬೇಸಿಸ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು? ನಾವು ಸಾಲಕ್ಕೆ ತಕೊಳ್ಳುದು, ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಈಗಲೇ ನಾವು ಹಣ ಪೇ ಮಾಡುದಿಲ್ಲ, ಫ್ಯೂಚರ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಪೇ ಮಾಡುದು. ಸೊ ವಾಟ್ ಡು ಯು ಮೀನ್ ಬೈ ಕ್ಯಾಶ್ ಬೇಸಿಸ್? When we are going to buy something and immediately we are going to pay for that particular purchase, so that will be called as what? Cash basis. So cash basis means what? So the transaction happens, if we are going to buy something, we need to make a payment immediately, then we can say that purchases are made on cash basis. So that means immediate cash payment is done. So in cash basis, only those transactions which are paid in terms of cash, that will be recorded. So cash basis ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಯಾವುದೆಲ್ಲ ಕ್ಯಾಶ್ ನ ಮೂಲಕ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸಾಕ್ಷನ್ ನಾವು ಮಾಡಿದೆವೋ ಅದರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ನಾವು ಎಂಟ್ರಿ ಮಾಡ್ತೇವೆ. ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್, someone named Raju. See here, Raju named person need to pay us rent. That is due on which month? December 2014 it is due. Understanding, right? So that means what? Raju is a person who need to make a payment of rent to us, and that is due on December 2014. But what they did? They paid in the month of January 2015. That means what? So 1 month later they have made a payment of rent. So here what we can say? This particular transaction is not based on cash basis, right? So that means it is due but not yet received. So what we need to make? The entry of receiving of that particular amount need to be recorded when we are going to receive that particular money. So cash basis ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಯಾವಾಗ ನಮಗೆ ಕ್ಯಾಶ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಸಿಗುವುದಿಲ್ವೋ ಅಂತ ಟೈಮಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ರೆಕಾರ್ಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋಗಬಾರ್ದು. ಯಾವಾಗ ನಮಗೆ ಕ್ಯಾಶ್ ಕೈಯಲ್ಲಿ ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಟೈಮಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾತ್ರ ನಾವು ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸಾಕ್ಷನ್ ರೆಕಾರ್ಡ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಅದರ್ಥ ಏನು? Until and unless cash is not received, we should not record those transactions in our books of account. So under cash basis, entries in the books of account are made when the cash is received. Understanding, right? In cash basis system, we are going to record transactions in the books of account when we are going to receive cash. So trading will be done on cash basis, then we are going to record. For example, the rent that we need to receive, that is due in the month of December 2014, but it is not received. So whether we need to record that? No, we should not record until and unless we are going to receive that particular money. So if they have made payment in the month of Jan, that is of 2015. So next year, after 1 month, they have made the payment. So only after receiving that particular money, we need to make a record of that transaction in our books. So that is cash basis. If cash basis means only when the cash is received, the transaction need to be recorded in the books of account. Cash basis ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನಂದ್ರೆ ನಮಗೆ ಕ್ಯಾಶ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಮಗೆ ಸಿಗ್ತಾ ಉಂಟಾ ಆ ಪರ್ಟಿಕ್ಯುಲರ್ ಟೈಮಲ್ಲಿ ಬಿಟ್ರೆ ಬೇರೆ ಟೈಮಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಕ್ಯಾಶ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಬರೀಬಾರ್ದು. ಸಪೋಸ್ ಈಗ ನಮಗೆ ರೆಂಟ್ ಬರ್ಲಿಕ್ಕುಂಟು, ಅದು ಮಂತ್ ಯಾವಾಗ ಡಿಸೆಂಬರ್ 2014ಕ್ಕೆ ಡ್ಯೂ ಆಗಿದೆ, ಆ ಟೈಮಲ್ಲಿ ನಮಗೆ ಬರಬೇಕಿತ್ತು, ಬರಲಿಲ್ಲ, ನಾವು ರೆಕಾರ್ಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಆಗುತ್ತಾ? ಇಲ್ಲ. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ಕ್ಯಾಶ್ ನಮ್ಮ ಕೈಯಲ್ಲಿ ಬರದಿದ್ರೆ ಹೇಗೆ ನಾವು ರೆಕಾರ್ಡ್ ಮಾಡೋದು? ಕ್ಯಾಶ್ ಬೇಸಿಸ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಕ್ಯಾಶ್ ಸಿಕ್ಕಾಗ ಮಾತ್ರ ಆ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸಾಕ್ಷನ್ ಅನ್ನು ಎಂಟರ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಸೊ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಈಸ್ accrual basis. So what do you mean by accrual basis? So it is the opposite of cash basis, where in cash basis, when the money is received, the transactions are recorded. But here, in accrual basis, once the service is given, so it will be considered as what? They are going to get the benefit. For example, company ABC Limited sold the commodity to customer named Raju. So now what we can do? We can record related to this particular transaction. Why? Because our transaction of selling the commodity is received by our consumer. So Raju is now received what? He received the goods which we have sold. So when he received this particular goods, we have the right of recording that transaction in our books. So there is no need of getting money in hand, but they have done what? They have received the service, they have given the service. So what? We need to record this transaction. So that is accrual basis. Accrual basis means what? There is no need of receiving money in hand. As and when the service is given, as and when the goods are supplied, we can record the transaction. So that is accrual basis. Under accrual basis, revenue and cost are recognized in the period in which they occur. So if the rent is due, that means we need to receive rent in the month of June, but it is not yet received. But what we need to do? We need to record that rent receivable in the books of account. So that is accrual basis. Accrual basis andre ಏನಂದ್ರೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನಮಗೆ ಕ್ಯಾಶ್ ಸಿಗ್ಬೇಕಂತಿಲ್ಲ. ನಾವು ಯಾವಾಗ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸಾಕ್ಷನ್ ಅನ್ನು ರೆಕಾರ್ಡ್ ಮಾಡಬಹುದಂದ್ರೆ ಯಾವಾಗ ನಾವು ಗೂಡ್ಸ್ ಸೆಲ್ ಮಾಡಿದೆವೋ ಆಗ ನಾವು ಏನು ರೆಕಾರ್ಡ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ನಮಗೆ ಕ್ಯಾಶ್ ಬಂದಿದೆ ಅಂತಲೇ ರೆಕಾರ್ಡ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಸೊ ಅದು ಎಕ್ರೂವಲ್ ಬೇಸಿಸ್. ಕ್ಯಾಶ್ ಬೇಸಿಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹಾಗಲ್ಲ. ಕ್ಯಾಶ್ ಬೇಸಿಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕ್ಯಾಶ್ ಸಿಗುವ ತನಕ ನೀವು ರೆಕಾರ್ಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕಿಲ್ಲ. ಎಕ್ರೂವಲ್ ಬೇಸಿಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಸರ್ವಿಸ್ ಕೊಟ್ರ, ಅವ್ರು ಸರ್ವಿಸ್ ರಿಸೀವ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರ, ನೀವು ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸಾಕ್ಷನ್ ಅನ್ನು ರೆಕಾರ್ಡ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಸೊ ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಅಬೌಟ್ basis of recording transactions, or it is a basis of accounting. Now, so what do you mean by, next topic is accounting standards. So what do you mean by these standards? So for you people, you need to study related to these standards. So in our accounting standard, there are 32 standards, okay? These 32 standards are going to describe different policies or principles. For example, there is an accounting standard 1 which tells regarding the complete disclosure of accounting policies. So what do you mean by that? So here accounting standard 1 which deals with the disclosure of accounting policies means an organization which have followed some policies, right? Regarding that they need to give information. If they have followed historical cost principle, regarding that they need to give information. If they have used one particular method of charging depreciation, that they need to disclose. So disclosure means they need to give away the complete information related to the methodology they have used in recording the transaction. So accounting standard means what? They are the sum of policies or the concepts which is related to the aspects of identifying, recording, measuring or communicating the transactions or information to the external user. See the meaning. Accounting standard is a common set of principles. So they are the set of principles which need to be followed. Principles are what? Rules. They are the regulation which need to be followed. By whom? Those who are going to record transactions in their books of account. An accounting standard is what? A common set of principles. So they are the rules, they are the standard. Standard is what? It is the benchmark. So as per that particular standard, the transaction need to be recorded, and they are the procedure, and they are the rules. They are the procedure that define what? Basis of financial accounting policy and practices. They are the basis of what? Accounting policy, which we have studied in last class. So this is about accounting standards. So there are 32 accounting standards which are dealing with a different concept. So accounting standard 2 deals with the valuation of inventories. Inventories means what? They are the stock which is there in an organization. So when we are going to record about the inventory, they are saying that it should be recorded either in historical cost or in market value, whichever is lower. So as per this principle they need to record their transaction. ಈಗ ಅಕೌಂಟಿಂಗ್ ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡರ್ಡ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನಂದ್ರೆ ಅದು ಅಕೌಂಟಿಂಗ್ ಪಾಲಿಸೀಸ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಅದೊಂದು ಬೇಸಿಕ್ ಅಕೌಂಟಿಂಗ್ ಪಾಲಿಸೀಸ್ ಅದರ ಮೇಲೆ ಡಿಪೆಂಡ್ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಅದೊಂದು ಕಾಮನ್ ರೂಲ್ಸ್ ರೆಗ್ಯುಲೇಷನ್, ಯಾವ ರೀತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸಾಕ್ಷನ್ ಅನ್ನು ರೆಕಾರ್ಡ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಹೇಗೆ ಬರಿಬೇಕು, ಹೇಗೆ ಕಮ್ಯುನಿಕೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಕೊಡುವ ರೂಲ್ಸೇ ಅಕೌಂಟಿಂಗ್ ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡರ್ಡ್ಸ್. ನಿಮಗೆ ಕಲೀಲಿಕ್ಕಿಲ್ಲಿ 32 ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡರ್ಡ್ಸ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಆ ಪರ್ಟಿಕ್ಯುಲರ್ ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡರ್ಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅಕೌಂಟಿಂಗ್ ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡರ್ಡ್ 1 ಡಿಸ್ಕ್ಲೋಜರ್ ಆಫ್ ಕಂಪ್ಲೀಟ್ ಅಕೌಂಟಿಂಗ್ ಪಾಲಿಸೀಸ್ ಅಂತ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಒಂದು ಆರ್ಗನೈಸೇಷನ್ ಯಾವುದೆಲ್ಲ ಪಾಲಿಸೀಸ್ ಅನ್ನು ಫಾಲೋ ಮಾಡಿದೆ ಅದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಕಂಪ್ಲೀಟ್ ಡಿಸ್ಕ್ಲೋಸ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟರ್ನಲ್ ಯೂಸರ್ಗೆ ಪ್ರಾಪರ್ ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮೇಶನ್ ಕೊಡಬೇಕು. ಅಕೌಂಟಿಂಗ್ ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡರ್ಡ್ 2 ಏನು ಹೇಳುತ್ತೆ, ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂಯೇಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ಇನ್ವೆಂಟರಿ. ಇನ್ವೆಂಟರಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಹತ್ರ ಇರುವ ಸ್ಟಾಕ್, ಅದು ರಾ ಮೆಟೀರಿಯಲ್ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಸೆಮಿ ಫಿನಿಶ್ ಗೂಡ್ಸ್ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು ಅಥವಾ ಫಿನಿಶ್ ಗೂಡ್ಸ್ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು. ಸೊ ಇಂತಹ ಸ್ಟಾಕ್ ಅನ್ನು ಬರೆಯುವಾಗ ನಾವು ಹೇಗೆ ರೆಕಾರ್ಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ನೋಡ್ಬೇಕು ಮಾರ್ಕೆಟ್ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂ ಎಷ್ಟು, ಆಕ್ಚುಯಲ್ ಕಾಸ್ಟ್ ಎಷ್ಟು, ಯಾವುದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ಕಮ್ಮಿ ಉಂಟು ಆ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂಗೆ ನಾವು ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂ ಬರಿಬೇಕು. ಅದರ ಅರ್ಥ ಸಿ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಕ್ಲೋಸಿಂಗ್ ಸ್ಟಾಕ್ ಆಫ್ ವರ್ತ್ 30 lakh. So 30 lakh you are having closing stock. So now the current market value of your closing stock is 31 lakh. But the cost in which you have acquired is 30 lakh. But now 31 lakh is what? A market value. So what is the policy says? You need to record those closing stock in those value which is lesser. Now which one is lesser? The historical cost or the acquiring cost. So that need to be represented. So this is about accounting standard. ಸೊ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಡಿಫ್ರೆಂಟ್ ಪಾಲಿಸಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಅದು ನಮ್ಗೆ ಏನು ಹೇಳುತ್ತೆ ಅಂದರೆ ಹೇಗೆ ನಾವು ಐಡೆಂಟಿಫೈ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಐಟಮ್ ಅನ್ನು, ಹೇಗೆ ರೆಕಾರ್ಡ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಹೇಗೆ ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮೇಶನ್ ಅನ್ನು ಕೊಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತ. ಸೊ ದೇರ್ ಈಸ್ ಅ ಬೆನಿಫಿಟ್ಸ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಲಿಮಿಟೇಷನ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಅಕೌಂಟಿಂಗ್ ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡರ್ಡ್. So first one is reduce variation in accounting treatment. See, if there is a accounting standard means what? All the organization need to follow this particular standard, right? So that means the transaction should be as per the standards mentioned by the accounting standards or the policies. So that gives what? A proper comparison. So there will not be any variations. Variations means ಏನು ಚೇಂಜಸ್ ಇರುವುದಿಲ್ಲ, ಈಕ್ವಲ್ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ, ಕಂಪ್ಯಾರಿಸನ್ಗೆ ಫೆಸಿಲಿಟಿ ಉಂಟು. ಅಡಿಷನಲ್ ಡಿಸ್ಕ್ಲೋಜರ್, ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್. ಅಡಿಷನಲ್ ಡಿಸ್ಕ್ಲೋಜರ್ ಮೀನ್ಸ್ ವಾಟ್? So accounting policy, accounting standard 1 says there should be complete disclosure of accounting policy. That means whichever the method they have used, or if there is a sudden change in methodology, that need to be disclosed, because of which external user can get information, proper information, and they can take a decision. Then helps comparison, as this particular standards provide what? Uniformity, right? So that means what? Each and every organization who are going to record the transaction, they need to follow the rules laid down by the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, right? As per their laws, they need to record. So if the policies or the methodologies is similar, we can go for easy comparison, right? That is what helps in comparison. The limitation, difficult choice. So there are so many alternative options they have provided. So it becomes confusing for the businessman or business concern to make a choice, which one to choose. So there are so many options. When there are so many options, is it possible for you to make a choice? No, right? That's what your accounting standard provides number of alternative choices. So because of that, it becomes difficult for the user to make a choice. Then second one is rapid followed. It is rigidly followed. Okay, rigidly means what? There is no chance of flexibility. It is, if particular law is made, there will not be any changes or there will not be any alteration. So that is rigid one. So it is called as mechanical. Then it completely differs from the law. So if there is a one statute, it completely differs from that particular statute. Okay, so that is about benefits and limitations. Okay, now we need to study regarding the applicability. So where this accounting standards are used, ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಈ ಪರ್ಟಿಕ್ಯುಲರ್ ಅಕೌಂಟಿಂಗ್ ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡರ್ಡ್ ಯೂಸ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ? ಈ ಪರ್ಟಿಕ್ಯುಲರ್ ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡರ್ಡ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಬಿಸ್ನೆಸ್ ಕನ್ಸರ್ನ್ಗೆ ಯೂಸ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, ಆದರೆ ಒಂದು ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಅದ್ಯಾವುದು? ನಾನ್ ಪ್ರಾಫಿಟ್ ಆರ್ಗನೈಸೇಷನ್, ಯಾವುದೆಲ್ಲ ಲಾಭ ಸಂಪಾದಿಸುವುದಿಲ್ವೋ ಅಂತ ಆರ್ಗನೈಸೇಷನ್ಗೆ ಈ ಅಕೌಂಟಿಂಗ್ ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡರ್ಡ್ ಅಪ್ಲೈ ಆಗುವುದಿಲ್ಲ. For example, charity organization, NGOs, those who serve the orphan those who serve the old age people, right? So those organizations which are only rendering service, they are not providing any product, such organizations are not going to use these standards. But all other organizations which are going to make profit are going to follow this particular accounting standard. Okay, first one is sole proprietorship, or this is a kind of a form of ownership. So sole trading is a business which is owned, managed, controlled by individual person. Sole means what? Only. Proprietorship is owner. So there is only one owner to the business. So even this particular person need to follow this accounting standard at the time of recording his transactions in his books. Understanding, right? Sole proprietor ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಯಾರು? ಅವನೊಬ್ಬನೇ ಬಿಸ್ನೆಸ್ ಅನ್ನು ರನ್ ಮಾಡೋದು, ಅವನೇ ಅದರ ಮೇನ್, ಅವನು ಕರ್ತ, ಅವನೇ ಎಲ್ಲ ಪ್ರಾಫಿಟ್ ಬಂದ್ರು ಅವನು ಎಂಜಾಯ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾನೆ, ಲಾಸ್ ಬಂದ್ರು ಅವ್ರು ಬೇರ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಸೊ ಅಂತ ಆರ್ಗನೈಸೇಷನ್ ಯಾವಾಗ ಅವ್ರು ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸಾಕ್ಷನ್ ಅನ್ನು ಬುಕ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಅಕೌಂಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ರೆಕಾರ್ಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೋ ಆಗ ಈ ಅಕೌಂಟಿಂಗ್ ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡರ್ಡ್ ಅನ್ನು ಫಾಲೋ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. So next is partnership firm. What do you mean by partnership? When two or more people come together by contributing the capital and agree to share the losses and profits equally, such organization will be called as partnership firm. Partnership ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು? ಯಾವಾಗ ಇಬ್ರು ಅಥವಾ ಇಬ್ರಿಗಿಂತ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಜನ ಒಟ್ಟು ಸೇರಿ ಪ್ರಾಫಿಟ್ ಮತ್ತೆ ಲಾಸಸ್ ಅನ್ನು ಈಕ್ವಲಿ ಶೇರ್ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಒಪ್ತಾರೋ ಅಂತಹ ಬಿಸ್ನೆಸ್ ಅನ್ನು ನಾವು ಪಾರ್ಟ್ನರ್ಶಿಪ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೇವೆ. ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ನೀವು ತಗೊಳ್ಳಿ, ಎ ಬಿ ಅಂತ ಇಬ್ರು ಫ್ರೆಂಡ್ಸ್ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ, ಒಟ್ಟಿಗೆ ಸೇರಿ ಒಂದು ಕನ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಷನ್ ಕಂಪನಿಯನ್ನು ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಸೊ ಅಂತ ಬಿಸ್ನೆಸ್ ಅನ್ನು ನಾವೇನು ಹೇಳ್ತೇವೆ? ಪಾರ್ಟ್ನರ್ಶಿಪ್ ಫರ್ಮ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೇವೆ. ಸೊಸೈಟೀಸ್, ಇದು ಕೋಆಪರೇಟಿವ್ ಸೊಸೈಟೀಸ್, ದೋಸ್ ಆರ್ ಹೆಲ್ಪಿಂಗ್ ದ ಡಿಫರೆಂಟ್ ಪರ್ಪಸ್ ಆರ್ ಕಾಸ್. So these are then trust. Hindu undivided family is also a business concern where the head of the business is called as Karta. Head of the family is Karta, right? So even these firms need to follow these accounting standards. So this is about applicability. Regarding other topics we are going to discuss in the next class.